Hi, I'm Jim. I'm from Killingworth, Connecticut. I'm part of the Hartford Church of Christ. And I was asked to tell my story from going from being an atheist to a disciple. Started a while ago when I was a young boy going to church. It never really totally hit me, but I stayed with it. I got a little further away when I finally graduated college. I had a BA in physics, so that scientific background kind of took me even further, but I was still going to church time to here and out. 28 years ago, the church we were attending in another town, our 18-year-old daughter needed some help, and she went to the church, and basically the church shunned her. Where she was in deepest need, they were afraid and turned their back. They didn't trust in God. And it was at that point I had had enough. I let my wife know that my path towards to becoming an atheist was complete. And I didn't return to church for quite a while. 5 years ago, my wife Connie, my lovely, adorable wife Connie, wanted to go back to church. And she wanted to join the church where our son-in-law and our daughter were among the ministers there. My wife could not drive the distance to church because she has some medical problems. So she asked me if I would drive her every Sunday. I agreed to do it, where I would take her in. We'd sit together. I thought it was a great time. We'd at least get to hold hands. So for 4 years, I sat there in silence watching, except my silence was broken by my snoring every now and then. As I sat there and became bored of just sitting, I started watching the people in the church and noticed there was something different about this church. They didn't just get together on Sundays. They were together during the week in family groups and all the other things they were doing. There seemed to be more going on in this church than I'd ever seen before. And I really got into seeing that there was something special here. I couldn't put my finger on it. I can't give it a name. I still can't give it a name. And I wouldn't even try. It's just so beautiful. Just something I felt sitting in the pews. One by one, I started watching Jimmy and Anita Allen's daughters in church and how they were handling themselves. Being a teacher and a girls basketball coach for 35 years, I taught physics, so I had basically seniors. I watched how most of the children of ministers, how they handled themselves. And it was very difficult with all the pressures that were put on believers. And most of these children of these ministers didn't seem to make real good decisions. The pressures were just so great they couldn't handle them. In fact, they were probably 180 degrees out and made some very bad decisions. Then they're watching these three young ladies and how they handled themselves. They impressed me, the way they stood up for their beliefs. I've seen teenagers, they can be brutal on believers. They handled it with elegance and class. That was the last thing I needed. They brought me over the top to really start thinking about maybe wanting to go to Bible study. Being the old man of the family, I seemed to get all the calls where some problems would be coming. Well, this particular child, which was in a string of things coming from our children, excuse me, was just to the point where I guess I just felt I couldn't handle it anymore. I needed some help. I sat there and thought for a while. I walked into our house. I made sure my wife was sitting down. I looked her in the eye and told her I wanted to get into a Bible study. I don't really remember what she said, but the expression on her face that still burns into the back of my mind. She smiled, she cried, she gave me a hug, and I was on my way. That Sunday, I went to church, and I walked up to Jimmy Allen, by the way, who I like to call Jimmy Cool because he never loses his cool. And I said, Jimmy, I want to get into a Bible study. I don't remember what he said. I do remember his voice. It got, oh, squeaky, yes, you want a Bible study? Oh, great, great. And he started reaching for his pockets. He's looking everywhere for his calendar. Jimmy Cool was gone. He reached in every pocket he had. I think he even reached down into his underwear looking for his little calendar. Finally, all of a sudden, A moment came by and he was back to Jimmy Cool, and we filled out the date that we were going to get together. And we started the Bible study. And I started reading the Bible. But I still hadn't taken the last step. I had to figure out how my beliefs and what I have learned in science and how I believe of this universe and how big and vast it is and how it came into being. How could all this work? The Bible is personal. It's for everyone and how they see it and how they get themselves to that point where they feel how they are connected and how they read it to get connected to their Creator. Things are written there so it could not only be read 5,000 years ago, it's still good today. It's written in such a way that everybody can get in there. There's so many ways to discuss it. So many different ways you can look at it. I found a comfort that there were things there that helped me put my life onto a path that was really comfortable and really felt good. And that's when I realized I was ready. I was sitting in church. I said, you know, my birthday's in 3 weeks. I wonder if it's on a Sunday. I immediately went to my phone, opened up the calendar, and January 12th was on a Sunday. I knew it was time. And when at our next Bible study, I let Jimmy know that I was ready to become a disciple. On January 12th of this year, I was baptized. It has made a big change in my life. I'm glad I'm there. And I can't thank the people enough who along the way stood with me through all the years, and by leading and by demonstrating, not by telling me, by how they handled themselves to lead me towards where I am today. I thank you for listening to my story. Every day's a new day. Every day I read the Bible, something new comes into my brain. And boy, is that beautiful. May God bless you all, and thank you for listening. Again, my name is Jim, and with God, everything is possible.